Seit Beginn der Corona-Krise führen wir regelmäßig Interviews mit interessanten Menschen aus aller Welt, die uns aus ihrer ganz persönlichen Sicht über die Auswirkung der Corona-Pandemie auf ihr Leben und ihr Umfeld berichten. Heute führen wir dazu ein Gespräch mit Oliver Cohen, der in Tel Aviv in Israel lebt, einem Land, das aktuell sehr massiv von der Corona-Krise betroffen ist. Hello, Oliver. Thank you very much for willingness to this interview.
My pleasure.
Let me start with the common question to all of our interview partners. How are you and how is your family right now?
We're great. It's sunny. It's beautiful. We're enjoying our kids. Everything's healthy. We're alive and well.
How did you experience the first lockdown in Israel and the governmental action plan in the beginning?
Well, they handled it very well. The first wave, the government was completely on top of it. Our Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, with his right hand, Naftali Bennett, who was Defense Minister, who took everything in hand right away. He locked down the schools. He locked down everything that was in public areas. He opened hotels, which he transferred into makeshift hospitals to put all the ones that were infected with corona, and they handled it very well.
Very immediate.
Very immediate. They insisted that we wear masks, that we keep as far distance from each other. I think they handled it very well.
Yeah.
From your point of view, they do the things right, yes?
They did everything. The first wave, they did everything very well. Everything was immediate. People listened, and we listened to the government, and everything worked out very well.
Okay. And you have a family with 6 children.
Yes.
How did you master the lockdown in the terms of school, family, life, shopping?
In terms of school, it wasn't something that was new to us. Living in Israel, we are used to learning from a distance. Sometimes security reasons, when there's rockets or when there's in times of war, unfortunately. So children are used to having the learning distance format. That wasn't very difficult. What was different was food shopping, groceries, things that in Israel, unfortunately, still has a long way to go. It's not as well developed as in countries like in Europe or in Canada or in the States.
Order online.
To order food shopping online, it's still not there yet. But we managed with they were, let's say that the country took things into hand very effectively. So it was a learn and go process.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we have heard from the news, the public life was again shut down to a minimum. What is the current situation in Tel Aviv?
Everyone's living well. We're not listening, unfortunately. We had the first wave, so we're people that likes to live outside. We like the restaurants. We like culture is very
important.
Very important. People like to mingle. They like to be with one another, and that's the problem. The problem is that we have to listen like the first time, and we're not listening as much as we should. We should keep distance. We should keep our masks on. We should not go to events where there's too many people, and we have to try to.
There are guidelines that need to be followed
for the second wave, because we are actually in Israel. We are in the second wave. There is an increase in infection, but we have to be careful. We have to be careful. We have to do like we did the first time.
Israel was the first country to limit personal rights by tracking its individuals. Do the results justify the means? What did Israel do in particular?
Well, they came up with an app system that follows and tracks the phones of everyone that's infected to make sure that they're not.
We're not only infected, a tracking system of where these people are going. Yeah. The app is completely voluntary. It's not obligatory. So you choose to have you choose to download the app or not. And so you're easily tracked by, I guess, cellular data or how it works they know where you've been, and they can tell you, they send you a message right away if there has been a person near you. And then if so, you have to go into quarantine. But again, those are voluntary acts. What I think you were talking about is mainly the government asking intelligence to listen into, tap the phones. I think that's what it was. And in order, if people were actually infected, then they can track if they're keeping quarantine or they're not keeping quarantine.
Do you have worries about potential governmental misuse of those means we talked about?
It could be misused, but we believe in our government. We
Yeah.
believe in the goodness of people, and that they're here to protect us, and that we are here also to help them to protect others. So
I think desperate means desperate times call for desperate measures, and I think that the decision makers that decided in enforcing these laws had their own reasons to do it. Again, these are voluntary. I don't think they were. You can download the app by if you want or not. In terms of tracking, I don't think it would be misused in some other purpose. I wouldn't see which one. At the end of the day, there's got to have to be some trust in between both parties. I that's what I think.
But I believe that it's for the good of the people. It's to track someone, to make sure that he's not infecting others, and this one can infect someone else. So we're here, we're all in the same.
We're learning as we go. So
yes.
I think that's the point. That was the main idea behind all of that.
Okay. How do you comment the massive increase of infections in the United States and South America, especially Brazil? Do you understand why so many people still ignore the facts and support these leaders?
Listen, America, there's over 300 million people, so it's normal that the infection rate is much more than all the other countries. But still, the Americans are, they have to take into consideration the masks and keeping away from one another. I don't think they're implementing it so much. They're not closing down all the restaurants. They're not closing down everything. Like I said, it's not the president. It's the leaders of each state. Each state has a governor, and he chooses how to run his own county, his own state. So
and I think that's how you can see certain states have higher rates and certain states don't. I think it comes down to the healthcare system each state has, and how well the governor manages his own territory. I don't think we can point it out to one person in particular. I also think that Americans have a mentality of it won't happen to me, it can't happen to me. So I think that's something that they have to change, seeing everything that's around. If you can't, it's not only it's okay for me, there has to be a consideration for your neighbor, and I think that's what's missing in the States.
They feel safe.
Your mask not only for you, but for
others.
For the others also.
Yes. Yeah. Gotcha. A highly personal question. Did you learn something from this crisis for your own future?
Well,
I think we learned
to appreciate our kids more.
To appreciate children, and I think children are very resilient in general, and I think it made us become better parents and become even more patient.
Yeah.
We grew
closer.
We
grew closer, having confinement. It's
learning how to work with. Learning how the chemistry works with each and every one of them, and balancing it out. I think that's what we learned.
The family life was what we learned the most.
Yeah.
Okay. Experts say that right now the infection rate could again increase dramatically. Do you think that this second wave is already starting now?
Yeah, here in Israel, we're definitely in the second wave. We're definitely already in it. Like I said, they have to take, again, drastic measures. It is an effect on the economy, but we are saving lives. So it's true that it's going to hurt the economy, but we have to contain it. So we have to redo what we did in the first wave, re-put the hotels, to put the infectious people into isolation, and to stress more wearing masks, keeping the distance, not attending places where there's too many people, and that will save us and others. And that's what needs to be done.
Here in Austria, we also face the risk of increasing infections. What do you recommend to the Austrian citizens?
I think it's very important to listen to the guidelines, wear masks, keep your social distances, keep your hands clean, hygiene rules, anything that government or health authorities advise, especially those two important ones, social distances and wearing a mask. I mean, there's not much we know about this virus. We've seen the outcome of it, and if these guidelines are given, then I think it's for a reason. And as long as we don't know much, I think it's wise for everyone around the world to listen to them and to abide by them.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So we have to protect ourselves and our friends, which are the people who live with us. And for the Austrians who are like us, we're a small country, and we have to look out for each other. We have to wear the mask. We have to be careful, distances, stay at home as much as possible, to keep the infectious rate at the lowest possible rate.
Yeah. So as to control it and to get back to somewhat of a normal life. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this interview. It was a pleasure for me. Stay healthy and have a good time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.